So the legislature will be back in committee hearings this week, considering many of the bills that were approved by the other chamber so far this session, including bills that would increase the price of gas, undermine the Parents' Bill of Rights, and a bill to allow striking workers to collect unemployment. So this is your chance, once again, to make your voice heard by testifying or signing in support or opposition to bills. And the new revenue forecast will be released this week. So we're getting close to the moment when budgets and potential tax increases will be released. I'm Todd Myers, Vice President for Research at the Washington Policy Center, and this is your legislative preview for the week of March 16th, 2025. So before we look at this, what's going on in the legislature this week, Representative Reeves, the chair of the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee, was kind enough to invite me and my colleague Pam Lewison to discuss Washington Policy Center's ideas for making farms more financially and environmentally sustainable, and how to reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfire in our state's forests, and also how to get salmon recovery back on track in Washington State. You can watch our one-hour work session from last Friday by visiting washingtonpolicy.org and clicking on the blog post about our testimony. And stay to the end so that you can also hear Pam explain the proper way to pour a pint of Guinness. So looking ahead to this week, there are many consequential bills being considered in committees. So we'll start with House Environment and Energy Committee on Monday. They will hear a proposal to make producers of paper packaging create a system of recycling overseen by the Washington State Department of Ecology. Senate Bill 5284 creates a heavily bureaucratic and expensive system of recycling designed to meet arbitrary recycling goals. Ironically, the Department of Ecology, which continually misses its own requirements for reporting, is authorized to fine any producer that doesn't meet their targets. In the House Appropriations Committee on Monday, Senate Bill 5343 will be heard, and it's a bill that allows the sheriff's offices in Ferry and Stevens County to use funds from Washington's Wolf and Livestock Management account. This is a good bill because wolf populations are now at the level considered recovered in the state's wolf plan, and the risk of predation by wolves on livestock is increasing, especially in the northeast corner of the state. This would help provide resources to deal with that risk. On Tuesday, the House Finance Committee will hear Senate Bill 5576, which allows local jurisdictions to add a 4% excise tax on short-term rentals like Airbnb to pay for affordable housing. Also on Tuesday, the Senate Health and Long-Term Care Committee will hear a bill that would make Washington part of a respiratory care compact, allowing therapists licensed in other states to work here without having to get relicensed. As Healthcare Director Elizabeth New wrote, while HB 1114 is a step in the right direction, helping with provider shortage, respecting workers, and solving an unnecessary problem for the state's military families, why stop at respiratory therapists? Washington should pursue universal licensing reform, allowing professionals to use their out-of-state credentials here, provided they meet reasonable safety standards. At the same time on Tuesday, the House Labor and Workforce Standards Committee will hear Senate Bill 5041, which would allow striking workers to collect unemployment benefits. Elizabeth has also testified on this bill when it was over in the Senate. She noted that unemployment insurance is meant for workers who lose jobs through no fault of their own and who are ready and looking for work. She also noted that the bill doesn't prohibit funds from going to public employees, like teachers, who strike, even though those strikes are illegal. So this is a bad bill that will make Washington even less business-friendly and end up costing both workers and the state. Also on Tuesday, the Senate Ways and Means Committee will hear Senate Bill 5400, which would create a tax on social media and search engines to create a government fund to subsidize selected media outlets. So in recent years, elected officials have been very restrictive about who they treat as journalists, rewarding friends and favorable journalists with access and preventing others from asking difficult questions. Having government choose who to fund adds another layer of government influence over the media. On Wednesday, the Senate Energy and Environment and Technology Committee will hear House Bill 1409, a truly bad bill that would intentionally increase gas prices by making the so-called clean fuel standard even more restrictive. That bill would also break the promises that the low carbon fuel standard would create manufacturing and farm jobs, promises made just a few years ago. The bill now admits that was a lie. The bill offers higher gas prices but no new jobs, and you can read my analysis at washingtonpolicy.org. On the positive side, this Thursday, the House Environment and Energy Committee will hear SB 5036, which would require the Department of Ecology to report statewide CO2 emissions annually to help legislators assess the effectiveness of the state's climate policy. Earlier this year, we filed a lawsuit against the State Department of Ecology for failing to follow the existing law regarding CO2 emissions reporting. We anticipate filing a new motion in that case soon, asking the judge to require Ecology to comply immediately with state law. This Thursday, there is a very important and controversial bill that would undermine the state's Parents' Bill of Rights. House Bill 1296 would undermine many of the protections parents and school children have from the state. For example, the bill would make it more difficult for parents to examine textbooks and curriculum used in their child's classroom. It would also give school districts up to 45 days, rather than the 10 days now, to allow parents to review their child's education records. The Parents' Bill of Rights was adopted overwhelmingly last year, and many legislators who voted for it in that election year are suddenly undoing the promises they made just 1 year ago. So that hearing is Thursday at 10:30 a.m. in the Senate Early Learning and K-12 Committee. You can read our analysis of 1296 on our blog. And finally, at the end of the week, there are two interesting work sessions where legislators will hear about policies being considered regarding the state's extremely restrictive regulations on trucks that have made it expensive or impossible to purchase new semi-trucks, and a session discussing the creation of a single-payer, government-run healthcare system. Now, it should not be lost on people that on one day, state agencies will explain why they didn't anticipate the negative consequences of restrictions on trucks, and then the very next day argue that giving government control over healthcare won't result in the exact same kind of unintended consequences for healthcare. Finally, on Tuesday, there are two bills being heard that show the wonderful diversity of Washington's plant life. In House State Government and Tribal Relations Committee on Tuesday, legislators will hear SB 5325, which designates the state cactus as the Columbia Plateau cactus. And at that exact same time in Senate Government and Tribal Affairs and Elections Committee, they will hear House Bill 1631, which would establish bull kelp forests as the state marine forest. So, whether your preference is the desert or the ocean, there's something for you on Tuesday at 1:30 in the legislature. So that's just a sampling of what the legislature is considering this week. For more information about these and other bills, make sure to visit washingtonpolicy.org. Please share this video with others and like our YouTube channel so you can get updates first in this fast-moving legislative session. That's it for this week. Thanks from both Roger and me. I don't know where he went. And we will see you next week.